this again. Aludicala salacadula. Nothing. Different magic word. Amarananab. Still nothing. Abracaturkey burger? Oh, hello. Well, this is why I keep flunking out of that hogwash school of sorcery. I just can't do this trick. I'm gonna blame it on the wand. I think the magic wand is faulty. Anyway, you're probably here not for amateur conjuring, but for Creepy Cheapies, where we talk about the best in masks. Got a great one today from the weirdos at Trick or Treat Studios. This is part of the 2024 lineup. Check this out. Wow. It's an actual Templar. Yeah. No relation to Simon Templar, because he was the saint. And trust me, this guy is no saint. No, indeed. This guy, if he looks familiar, well, he is inspired by a number of movies. In the 1970s, a Spanish director, Armando de Osorio, made a quartet of zombie vampire movies about these guys. A sect, a branch of the historic Knights Templar, who sort of, well, lost sight of some of their original goals and purposes and ended up becoming demon-worshipping sorcerers, and were resurrected hundreds of years later as these really cool-looking, withered, dried-out, mummified, skeletal zombies in their hooded robes and with their little tufty beards that make them look official. And there were 4 movies in that series. They went under a number of different titles, released under different titles in different regions, different parts of the planet. But I'm going to give you the titles that are the most well-known in America, United States, not South America. The first one, Tombs of the Blind Dead. I said tombs. That's T-O-M-B-S, not to be confused with Tunes of the Blind Dead. I didn't say tunes. I said tombs. Tunes of the Blind Dead was, of course, their hit disco album. Yeah. Was Gloria Gaynor on that with you guys? No? Donna Summer? Well, he doesn't remember. But anyway, the first one was called Tombs of the Blind Dead. And then there was Return of the Evil Dead. And it really was called Return of the Evil Dead, even back then. Which means the Blind Dead were the Evil Dead before the Evil Dead were the Evil Dead. Wow. He didn't even know that. There's Tombs of the Blind Dead, Return of the Evil Dead. The third one was aboard a ship and is sometimes called either the Ghost Galleon or Horror of the Zombies. And then the fourth movie in the series was La Noche de las Gaviotas, or Night of the Seagulls. Now you might wonder, Night of the Seagulls? Is he supposed to be a seagull? No, that was just sort of a poetic title for it, taking a bit of poetic license with the plot. You can get a license for anything these days. But the Night of the Seagulls title came from the fact that the local townspeople believed that the human victims killed by the Blind Dead, the Templars, were reincarnated as mysterious black seagulls that flew around the beaches at night. He thinks that's pretty cool. Now, obviously, they are called the Blind Dead, or Los Muertos Sin Ojos, because they have no eyeballs. And I will just tell you before I forget, a very clever friend of mine, a very clever friend indeed, Madman. My friend Madman had the greatest idea one year at Halloween. I made a mask of one of the Blind Dead 1,000,000 years ago. And my friend Madman had the idea to wear one while handing out candy during Trick or Treat. And you know those, I don't know if they still make them. They made chocolate eyeballs wrapped in foil. They were just a chocolate ball, but they were wrapped in foil that looked like an eyeball. I think they called them creepy peepers, if I'm not mistaken. They made them for years and years. They probably still make them. He would jam one of those into the eye socket of the mask while wearing it, and then when the kids would come, he would pull the eyeball out and drop it in their trick-or-treat bag. You gotta love that. You know, how cool is that? I'm sorry I didn't think of that. I did, however. It is generally agreed. Now, somebody may come forward that none of us know about yet, but it is generally accepted within the world of masks that I'm the guy who was the first person ever to create a mask of one of the blind dead. Just because I happened to stumble onto one of the movies, and it's okay, I didn't hurt my foot or anything. Happened to stumble onto the first movie, Tombs of the Blind Dead, which I think is the scariest of them. And I was so impressed with how very scary the blind dead were. I had to have a mask of one of the, and nobody was making anything like that, so I made my own. That mask ended up, well, it's in a lot of collections today because I made a bunch of copies for friends who were collectors. And I made some copies that were repainted either, I kid you not, blue or yellow by request for the people at Knott's Berry Farm for their big Halloween extravaganza years ago. Now, this particular one is not mine. It was sculpted by the legendary Justin Mabry, and I think he sculpted it about 1 million years ago. Okay, not long after I had done my version, but 500,000 years ago maybe. Justin did this very sophisticated sculpture of one, and it's been around for a few years, but never officially got released. I think he just made a couple of them here and there. And then in 2024-25, it joined the trick-or-treat lineup officially, and it is called Templar. And I don't know if you can tell, but he's got a fabric hood, and I'm going to try to show you the whole deal here. Let's take it off. The very expensive styrofoam wig head painted black. Take it off that so you can see exactly how much mask you're getting. Okay, the latex is pretty complete. Comes down there a little more than a 3/4 mask, or about a 3/4 mask, I guess. All right, and then you get the fabric hood, and the hood is really nice. It's the stuff that not exactly the same material, but has the look of the hooded masks that everybody loves from back in the 70s and 80s by Zagoni and companies like that, who did hooded masks out of nice plush black fabric that looked a lot more deluxe than the cheap flimsy nylon that a lot of masks have. Okay, now if there's one complaint here, and you know there has to be a complaint. You're not an expert if you don't complain about it, something. So there's one complaint here. This hood, I think, is too nice for him because he has been dead for several centuries and is all withered and shriveled and dried up and rotten and what do you mean, look who's talking? Look at the camera. Oh, I forgot you're blind. Sorry. Anyway, I would rather see him in a nasty, tattered, rotted, mud-caked sort of hood that's all shreddy and ripped and such like in the movies. Now, these characters sort of became an unofficial mascot of mine because I just thought they were so cool and scary, and I just liked the look, the combination of skull and mummy and vampire and the little beards and the big eye sockets. They're just so cool. They became sort of an unofficial mascot. And almost every year, I think every year but one, during Horror Hotel, over a period of 18 years, the Blind Dead on, the one that I sculpted back in the day, was on a mannequin figure behind the front desk, serving as the desk clerk, usually offering like a quill pen and a book. And you're saying, well, why don't you show us your old version, Dr. Lady, to compare it to the trick-or-treat one of today? Well, I would, but mine happens to be on a mannequin to this very day downstairs in the foyer of my charming and tasteful and conservative home here. We'll see if we can get a photo of it. for your viewing pleasure, so you can shop and compare. Now, I did mine as a full head and neck, and that way you could leave the hood open a little, you know, farther down in the front. And in order to give the missing eye socket the empty eyes effect, I sculpted mine sort of with too much face in the front on purpose, like I sculpted the face way out here and then dug the eye holes in very deeply, so that when you're wearing it, it looks like you've got big caved in empty eye sockets. This one has pretty much that same effect, but not quite as pronounced. And there are eye slits in the top. Could I stick my finger in there if there weren't? No, I could not. So you won't have to be like a Templar and be completely blind when you wear one. Now, the reason they are the blind dead, by the way, they are the muertos sin ojos, is because it depends on which movie you're watching. In one of the movies, when they were put to death by the angry villagers, the villagers actually took torches and burned their eyes out so they couldn't find their way back from the grave. It didn't work. They found their way back from the dead anyway, even without eyes. And in one of the other movies, it was said that they were left hanging. They were hanged by the villagers, and crows came along and ate their eyeballs out, which only goes to show Madman had the right idea, making their eyeballs tasty treats. See? For crows or humans. In fact, I like the Blind Dead design so much. A few years during Horror Hotel, I had souvenir t-shirts made, and I had a drawing that I did that was inspired by these guys. Had a Blind Dead looking guy at a front desk with a bell, I think, and a book, bell, book, and candle, and quill pen, inviting you to the hotel. And I wish I had one of those t-shirts today, but I don't seem to have one. There may be one somewhere here in the attic or buried away with, you know, in the rubble somewhere. But anyway, for about 80 bucks, you can score one of these. And even though the hood doesn't quite mesh with the degree of rotten decomposition of the face, it's still a wonderful mask, a great thing to wear for Halloween, and a cool thing to have in your collection if you like dead things and zombies and mummies. And big thumbs up to the beautiful Templar sculpted by Justin Mabry and made for you by Trick or Treat. And by the way, in addition to the one that I did long ago, I was telling you, I think I was the first one, it is generally agreed, to make such a mask. There have been like 3 or 4 other artists over the years since then, in between, that made. So there are more options. There are probably 5 Blind Dead masks over the years, but this is the one that you can get from Trick or Treat. And now I'm going to try this one more time. Like I said, I keep flunking out a hogwash because I can't do this trick. Give me one more shot. Let's see. What was the magic word I tried? I tried abracadabra burger. Let me try another one. Die Timmel nu snoit ratsid. Ah, success at last. It's about time, too. I've finally done it. For the first time, I've finally been successful at converting meters to feet.